Hi everyone, γεια σας και καλώς ήρθατε to another episode of Dimitra's Dishes. Today we're going to be making a summertime dessert that's simple yet beautiful and so delicious. We'll be making a cherry and almond galette with puff pastry, flaky puff pastry that's going to hold an almond frangipane, which is a delicious homemade almond paste, topped with a sweet cherry pie filling. So much easier to make than a pie and very elegant and pretty too. Let's get started. Okay, so we're going to begin by making the almond paste, also known as frangipane. In a bowl, I'll add 4 ounces or 113 grams of butter that's been melted. This is unsalted butter. Then I'll add a half a cup of granulated sugar, 2 eggs that are at room temperature, 2 teaspoons of pure vanilla extract. Make sure you're using pure vanilla and pure almond. The artificial flavors don't taste good. So 2 teaspoons of almond, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, and then whisk this all up until everything is combined. Then I have 1.5 cups of almond flour. I just buy this in the baking aisle of my supermarket. The big markets like Costco also have it, and I keep it frozen. If you keep your almond flour frozen, either thaw it out the night before or you can leave it on the counter for an hour or two. It should be fine. In the bowl where the almond flour is, I'm just going to zest in the zest of an orange. You can do the zest of a lemon. Both flavors work. And then this is going to go in the egg and sugar mixture. Whisk that all up until everything is combined and nice and smooth, and just set that aside. Now for the cherry filling. Oh my God, this is so good. So I have 600 grams of pitted frozen cherries. I use frozen cherries because it's so much work to pit cherries. Fresh cherries would be absolutely delicious in this, but I wanted to take the shortcut and I'm using the frozen and it works perfectly. Next, I'll add half a cup of granulated sugar and 2 heaping tablespoons or 16 grams of cornstarch. So you need the cornstarch because especially frozen cherries, they tend to release a lot of liquid. If you have time, you can thaw these out in a strainer so you can catch some of the juices. I just never do that because I don't have the time. It works every time. It's just going to be a little bit more of a juicy filling, but the cornstarch helps thicken it. Then you could squeeze in a little bit of that orange juice, so a tablespoon is fine, and a teaspoon of pure vanilla extract. Mix that all together until the cherries are coated, and now set that aside. We're going to roll out the puff pastry. So I love getting these big sheets of puff pastry from my restaurant supply store. Each sheet is 12 ounces or 340 grams. It's the perfect size. I'm just going to roll it out 1 to 2 inches on each side just so that way it opens up a bit. I want to have a 10-inch round circle in the center. And I'm going to use this cake pan to kind of mark it because that's where all of the filling is going to sit on top of. Once it's rolled out on a lightly floured surface, transfer it to a baking tray that's lined with parchment paper. And then you can spread the thinnest layer of that almond paste on the center, and then spread a little bit all around where the crust is going to be as well. If you put all the almond paste in the center, it's going to be more cake-like. The eggs are going to cause it to rise, and then you won't have that cherry filling standing out on top looking like a cherry pie. It'll look more like a cake. So I tested it and it didn't work as well. This works much better, and we're going to use the rest of this almond paste as a topping on the crust. You'll see in a little bit. But once you spread a thin layer of that paste on the bottom, you're going to take that cherry filling and put it on top, and then fold the edges over, pinch them together to form a round crust around the cherries, and then take as much as you can of that almond paste and just spread it over the crust on the top and on the sides. It's just going to add so much flavor. And lastly, I like to sprinkle some sliced almonds on top of that. They'll stick really easily, and this will also brown beautifully. And doing this will get rid of having to brush an egg wash, which I absolutely don't like anymore. It leaves an eggy flavor. This is going to leave a delicious almond flavor, and it's just going to be so good. But before we bake it, we're going to chill this in the freezer for about 20 minutes. While the oven preheats, I'm preheating it to 375 degrees Fahrenheit. As the galette chills a little bit in the freezer, it's going to help it set and hold its shape. This is going to bake on the center rack for 45 minutes. Take it out, and if it's spread out a little bit and sort of lost its shape, once it comes out of the oven, it'll still be warm enough where you could kind of reshape it, press it together where it's kind of popped up and out. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just looks rustic and beautiful as is. Let this cool to room temperature, and then it'll be ready to serve. Okay, so I have some almond paste left over. I'll just transfer it to a little bowl and refrigerate it. It'll keep fresh in the fridge up to a week, and you can make different types of dessert with it. I have so many different desserts using the almond paste, so it will not go to waste. But The house smells amazing. It's time for the taste test. So my favorite way to serve this, I mean, it tastes delicious as is, but if you add a scoop of vanilla ice cream on top, it sort of melts and creates a sauce, and it just makes it so much better. Let's get a little bit of the crust and some of the filling. Oh my God. So good. If you can imagine an almond croissant meets cherry pie, that's what this tastes like. Absolutely heavenly. The almond filling all over the crust and the border just really elevated it. Not only does it look beautiful, it's crispy, it's sweet, it's just perfect. Those cherries are perfectly cooked and they left some juices. So if you want to, you can add a little bit more cornstarch if you're using the frozen cherries like I did, because they do create more of a saucy type filling. And if you want it to be a little bit thicker, definitely go maybe half a tablespoon up on the cornstarch filling. That'll fix that problem. Other than that, it's so delicious, it's so beautiful, and it's very simple to make, just like we did today. I showed you step by step how easy to make this. I hope you guys give this recipe a try. The exact measurements are on the website, dimitrasdishes.com. I hope you check it out. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. I'll see you all next time. Yes, us.